Hi, this is Phil Better, and you're listening to Pop Culture Addicts.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to Pop Culture Addicts. Now, this is a show that's built by fandoms, but driven by conversation. And I'm Tim, your host and guide to all things pop culture. So I'm excited you're here tonight. Now, our guest that's waiting for us back in the green room is a podcasting powerhouse. He's an entrepreneur and someone who clearly knows a thing or two about creating great conversations. Now, previously in his podcasting life, he hosted the Phil Better Show, where he dove into pop culture, movies, television, all the things that we obsess over. He did too. Now, he's also the host of Invest in Yourself, the digital entrepreneur podcast. I've been a guest on that show, and I had a really nice time. Now, Phil talked with entrepreneurs, creators, business leaders about turning their ideas into something feasible and to building something of their own. Now, tonight, we're going to talk to the man behind the microphone. We're going to talk to him about the shows that he's built, that he's worked on, now his journey in podcasting, and of course, his fandoms and passions, that all these great things that have something to do with the world of pop culture. Now, if you're new here, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and please click that like and follow button. I don't want you to miss out on future guests. We've got some bangers of some episodes coming up. Now, take the moment, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and join me for a great conversation with the one, the only, the podcast mogul, Phil Better. Welcome to the show, Phil.
My God, I'm blushing. I now know how my guests feel when they get I read their intro. Tim, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had an opportunity to be on your show, and you've been on our show on some of the live shows and had some nerdy fun conversations with me. And I thought, you know what, for all the times that we've talked and all the stuff that I know that you know about podcasting, I thought, you know what, I have to get Phil on the show and we have to have a conversation because he's more than just a pretty Canadian face. There's some cool things going on between those ears, and I want to talk to him about it.
Oh, stop it. You're going to make me blush even more than I am. No, I'm excited for this. I obviously, some people may or may not know, Tim, but I've been helping you behind the scenes with the Pop Culture Addict show, which is my love because I don't have a podcast on movies anymore because I've semi-retired that show. I say it's on hiatus because it makes me feel better that one day I will go back and start talking about movies and pop culture again. But for me, my love of pop culture, I help you out. So for me, it kind of feels like, okay, good. I'm still in that pop culture movie world. By helping you grow your podcast, and it's been a pleasure doing that. So being a guest is even more. And no, this is not him paying me for my time. I freely give my time to Tim because he is a great man and a wonderful human being. But yes, I'm excited to talk pop culture in the podcasting world. Yes, hearts emojis all over time. I want you to see those heart emojis flying when this is on a clip or somewhere. But yes, talking pop culture fandom in podcasting and movies, whatever you want to talk about, I'm super excited and ready to nerd out.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to start with you. The very first question I start with every single guest because, as I explain in every episode, I like to know what makes people tick and why they do what they do, what keeps them coming back to their chosen field. So in the story of Phil Better, what made you say, I want to be a podcaster?
So I've always wanted, I can remember sitting down watching the first movie, and we'll get into it. The first movie that really stuck with me, like that's my core memory. And we'll get to it later because I'm pretty sure you're going to ask about that. And I don't want to spoil the fandom that I'm a part of yet. But I remember sitting there and being like, wow, I want to be an actor. And then like you grow a bit older, and then at one point you tell your parents, I want to be an actor, and your parents are like, okay, yeah, it's really hard though, so maybe get another job first, and then maybe like get a degree in something, and then go try acting, right? And then you're like, oh, okay, so it's impossible to be an actor. Then jokingly, some people say I have a face for radio, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go into radio and then find out that it's very niche, very cliquey, and it's very hard to break into it, specifically where I am, because I'm in the province of Quebec in Canada, right? Because Tim mentioned I'm a lovely, beautiful Canadian man, but I'm in the specific province of Quebec, and if you don't know, it's French. So the English here is very tight. It's a tight-knit community, so breaking into English radio is very hard. So that I did some acting on theater in high school and that, but never really amounted to anything. And then I heard about podcasting through one of my idols, someone who's inspired me greatly, Kevin Smith. And so Kevin Smith really inspired me from the time he made Clerks to his universe of podcasts. And he had liked one of my tweets back when I was on Twitter before it became X. And I'm like, you know what? It was about podcasting. Like, I'm thinking about it, and he just liked it. And I'm like, that's a sign. And so I jumped into podcasting, right? Earlier, like in 2014, a friend of mine had given me Podcasting for Dummies because he wanted to make a show with me, but it never went anywhere until like 2017 when I launched the Feel Better show. But I fell in love with it because it allowed me to do something I love, being entertaining, right? It takes,
Okay.
I can be an actor, if you will, a voice actor, if you will, because people love the baritoneness of my voice, if you will. I actually just came back from a podcasting conference, and I'm now officially dubbed the voice because between sessions, to get the next session, to get people into the room, they asked me to just let them know there's 60 seconds. And it was booming across the whole like floor. People heard me. So I am dubbed the voice now for that conference. And I'm honored. But it's just not only just how awesome it is to be able that anybody can be a podcaster, right? Not everybody should, but everybody can. Clear distinction. They can try their
Understood.
hand. They can try their hand in technically like radio, right? Who hasn't ever wanted to have their own radio show? And they, with podcasting, you kind of have to get that. Like, yes, video is also a component of podcasting now, but podcasting at its core is a RSS feed with a media file attached. Pretty much that's what
Correct.
it is, right? It's a feed that has a media and that you can open in your podcast app or on Apple or wherever you want. And I keep falling in love with it. And like it coming back from the conference, it's the community that podcasting gets, because 90% of podcasts, you're by yourself, right? You're talking to a camera, right? Yes, I'm on a Zoom call with Tim and I'm having a conversation with Tim, but I'm not in person with Tim. It lacks that intimacy of being with
Sure.
someone. Like, yes, the conversation, but you go to these conferences and podcasting, just you see your community in person, because you've had the conversations via Zoom and you get to see them in person, and it just like reinforces the idea that, yeah, this is why I'm in podcasting. It's the community. Everybody wants to help everybody. And one of the things that I really took home from that convention was a talk by Ziz. I can't pronounce his last name. He's a former Kansas City chief. He drafted in 1988. Competitive collaboration. Because yes, we may be in competition between each other. Like if my Feel Better show would be going against pop culture addicts in the movies, TVs, interview world. However, me getting better and helping Tim get better means the industry gets better and all podcasts gets better. Right. So that's what, like, I can go on for like another 20 minutes. You're going to have to cut me off, Tim. So yeah,
I'm not really good at that with my guests. I like to let my guests talk.
Yeah, I know.
And explain.
But yeah, so going back, why podcasting? It allows me to get that creativeness and be kind of like a personality, if you will, or take my personality to the next level, but also the community, both online and off screen. I've made so many great friends from podcasting, like yourself.
Yay. All right, cool. I like the answer. All right. So you mentioned your fandom, so there's no better time than to jump over to the fandoms, because I am a very impatient person and I don't like to be teased. So I want the answer to this question. So let's talk about your fandoms. What's the fandom that caught the attention of little Phil, young man Phil, but is still sticking with you today? What keeps you coming back to pop culture?
So we're going to go to that story. I remember I was probably, I want to say 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm in my uncle's basement, big tube TV. For those that don't know, I'm an elder millennial. I'm a mid 80s baby. So like that's who I am. So tube TVs, if you don't know, are the big brick TVs, not the flat little screen TVs. Sitting there in the dark and seeing Return of the Jedi for the first time.
Yes.
I was bitten by the Star Wars bug. It's my first love and the one that I hate the most. The original trilogy was made for kids, pretty much people under 13, 14-year-olds, 15s at the max. And then the prequel was that, and then the post-quill or the sequels, regular sequels, I guess at this time.
Yeah.
um, were again not really made for me. I was way out of the demographic at that time. It was again for kids, giving kids hope, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I learned to just love the movies as what it was because was always out. The only ones I was really in the age range was the original trilogy. When I saw them when I was a kid. So I ended up understanding like, yes, they're not for me, but watching them, there's still so much entertainment because there's hope in them. And that's what I loved
Sure.
about those movies. And I also hate them because of the fandom and the discourse around them. Like we're getting Star Wars. It may not be for you. It's for other Star Wars fans. So like, just be happy Star Wars is in the like. Look how long Trek had to wait to get Trek films, right? Like
Oh,
Trekkies
for
had to wait,
sure.
and
Yeah.
Trek is another joy of mine. I love space and everything space because I've always wanted to be a space captain or fly a spaceship after seeing Star Wars at such a young age. So I love those sci-fi movies more when they're in space and less when they're on planets and that. So like Dune is cool, but I want like Star Wars and Star Trek's in the space, right? There's space. Let's go. It's so cool. Because
Okay.
there's like so unlimited freedom. So like Serenity, Firefly is another one
Yes.
that we have a share of a love
Yes.
for. I remember going to that. I was working at a movie theater when that movie came out, and a person I worked with was a fellow brown coat, and we ended up going to see it. And because I was an employee there, I got a free pass for me and a
Oh,
guest,
very
so we
cool.
got to see the movie free. I just remember sitting there. There's like barely any. I think there was like maybe 10 people max in the theater, including us, and just watching it and just being like, I'm a feather on the wind, like
Not too soon.
very too much soon. But that is like movies have always made me feel amazing when I've watched them. They've entertained me. They've taken away from the craziness of the world. So my biggest fandom is Star Wars, Star Trek. I'll always be a fan. I actually have a quote of Yoda on my arm, which is something that I actually have been quoting pretty much my whole life since I saw Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. Yoda going, "Do it, do not. There is no try." I
Yeah.
literally got it this year at a Comic Con convention, Montreal Comic Con. It is something that I live by. It was my graduation quote.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars boy. A good old Star Wars boy. So yeah, that Star Wars
Love
would
it.
be my big one with anything sci-fi pretty much. I'll probably eat up
Okay.
on fantasy.
Okay. I like that answer, being a Star Wars boy myself. So one of the things I love about Star Wars is that you mentioned that now the intended original purpose is for it to be for younger fans. But one of the things I've appreciated over the last 10 or so years or more is that there has been a lean to have content for older fans, so like Andor, and
Yes.
things like that, where it's a very mature themed show. There's some very deep. There's always been deep topics discussed in Star Wars, and if you were oblivious to that, please go rewatch them because all of Star Wars is very anti-fascism. It's very easy to pick up on that. That's what the whole rebellion was about.
Yes.
Um, it just yeah. So, but yeah, so I love that it's still for kids, but we're
But it's for
picking
us
up
too.
it's just for bigger kids now, and
Yeah.
and it still talks to the little Tim that got enthralled with Empire Strikes back in the day, and but still I get to see all this stuff now. So I'm very much in the same boat you are with Star Wars. So that's very cool. Okay. So you said that you have a joy for Star Trek, and would that be your like your second place, your alternative nerdiverse
Yeah,
if
like
not Star Wars?
to be fair, I'm not a deep dive nerd of these. Like I can't tell you who was on the council of Jedi's or what's the difference between this Jedi lightsaber color. I'm not one of those fans. Um, so same with Star Trek. They are both. I'm a fandom of the entertainment that it brings into my life.
Perfect.
So yeah, Star Trek and Star Wars are probably very close. They're like, it's always going to be Star Wars because of the
Like
first
a
movie
1A,
itself.
1B.
Yeah, kind of thing, right? Star Wars will be always 1A. Star Trek will always be B because they both bring that. the imagination of flying through the world, helping flying through the universe, helping people and stuff like that. So for me,
Okay.
like it's 1A, 1B, and then third would be like the Smith verse, the Askew universe, if you will, because I love Kevin
Okay.
Smith and he's just an amazing director. So that fandom is probably the like third place, second place, if you will. But
Okay.
then there's a whole bunch of others I'll just watch, like Marvel, more
Sure.
specifically the X-Men. And if people don't know, if they're not watching the video of this, which I'm going to do a plug here, you should be following on YouTube, Pop, PACPODSO. SHOW on YouTube. So youtube.com/@PCAPODSHOW. Make sure you follow along and make sure you like this video. But if you're listening on the audio version, which you should be also following the podcast, I have a couple Star Wars items, like in shot specifically. I got some Grogu. I have the scene from A New Hope where Vader enters the Corellian speeder. I have Luke Skywalker, and then I have a Darth Vader, kind of like this Book of the Sith with a Darth Vader figurine on it. But yeah, I have some Marvel stuff as well behind there of Lego. These are all Legos, by the way, so people can know.
Love it.
And a figurine, well, not a figurine, a statuette of Luke and that. But Marvel is something I love. I specifically love the X-Men. I remember getting the comics when I was little. My first comic ever was a Green Lantern with... it wasn't Hal Jordan. It wasn't. It was the artist Chris. Was it Chris Ryan? The more artistic version. It was a sparkly cover. Like that's like my first ever comic book I ever had.
Okay.
A Green Lantern. But I'm a Marvel guy. I love the darkness that DC has, and sometimes more mature topics that they cover and how they cover it. But for me, Marvel is just that fantastical world where you can throw things away while dealing with the heavy stuff. So yeah, but the X-Men are in the Marvel universe. X-Men are my thing, and I am so excited for Avengers Doomsday.
Same here. So I will say this, and just to kind of go back to one of your points earlier, you said I'm not that kind of fan. Here's the great thing about being a fan: you can like one thing or you can like it all. You're still a fan. That's the great thing. There's zero gatekeeping here. You know, I love the fact that when you can be a fan for 10 minutes or 10 years, as long as there's something in that universe, you're a fan. So you don't have to quantify it. You're a fan. So
good. Thank you. I always feel like I have to justify, because like Star Wars fans like, no, you need to know Count Kahuna was the puke researcher, Darth Sidious that did this. And it's like, I like the movies and the books. They're good. They're fun time.
Yeah, exactly. Just be a fan. You can just enjoy it. You don't have to memorize everything. You can just enjoy them.
I appreciate those fans that know those deep dives, because it's like something I don't. So you're teaching me more about something I love. So I will always love to hear those conversations.
Oh, for sure. So there's two guys that I follow on TikTok. They've been on our show a couple times. If you want deep dive lore explanations, these guys are wonderful. Element 7 and Darth Chaco. Wonderful guys. They don't put up with crap from, as they call them, the chud nuggets, the carpet nuggets.
I love it. New term, chud nuggets.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they don't put up with crap from them guys, and so, but yeah. But you brought up your Darth Vader, so I have to show you this, because I got this last week at a yard sale, and it was just in this big box of Star Wars stuff, and it was all destroyed and not put together. And he gave me this whole box of vintage 1970s, early 80s Star Wars stuff for $10. And I got this.
Oh my God. So you don't know, people who are listening to the audio, it is Darth Vader's Intercept TIE Fighter. Is that
that's
Cal?
Kanan Jarrus.
Kanan Jarrus. Sorry. I was close. I knew what series he was from, Rebels.
But I got that, and I got a ATST Walker out of there. I got a Millennium Falcon. I got to finish putting together yet, and like I have all the pieces for it, and I got it for $10. And I'm just
I hate you. I love you. I hate you. But that is, as a Star Wars fan, I think every Star Wars fan who is listening can immediately say you just lucked out.
Oh, I did.
And
I
yeah,
yeah. All
so
right.
jealous. I can't wait to
Let's get
see it
away
in
from my
person.
yard sale find and let's get back to you here for a second, since you are the stud of the hour. All right. So now you've had several podcasts over the years, Phil. We'd mentioned the Phil Better Show. There's Invest in Yourself. There was also another one called Stock Dirty to Me, which is about
Yep.
stocks and bonds. And I loved that title. Always kind of made me giggle. Stock Dirty to Me. Did I miss one, or is
So
there
there's a lot here. So we have we'll start in chronological order, if you will. We have my
Yes,
first
please.
podcast, the Phil Better Show. Then in 2020, we launched Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, which went on to help me build my business in podcasting. But also after I won Best Business Podcast of 2020 with only a month worth of episodes. So you're under, I want to say under a dozen episodes, I was able to win Best Business Podcast going against podcasters who had a full month worth of episodes.
Right.
So there's that. There was a short-lived Invest in Yourself, the podcast series where I interviewed podcasters. That is defunct. I don't believe you can find it. You have Stock Dirty to Me, which you mentioned, which was a podcast that I had launched in collaboration with a Facebook group that had over 50,000 people looking to invest in the stock market. Started off as a live show, and then once that ended with them, because everyone's too busy, because it's harder than a D&D group to get a plan for an episode. I took it over and made it a couple solo episodes with one or two interviews on it. And that is currently on hiatus as well. I'm thinking of maybe making it into more of a limited series type podcast. Then there is, of course, the most recent one that I launched called the Podcast Mogul's Playbook. That one's on hiatus. That one is, I talk about how to launch, monetize, and grow podcasts for people, more focused on the monetization and growth, because I think podcasters should be paid well for their deal. And FYI, me and Tim had a great conversation pre-show about what's going to be happening with the podcast. You're going to be seeing a lot of good stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, yes, I was getting educated before we came on and started talking nerdy. Okay. So you kind of touched on a little bit of this in your very first answer right out the gate, but I'm going to ask this of you anyway, just because I want to see if it gets worded differently or not. And I think it will. But now you talked about when you were growing up that you wanted to be an actor, and then you're like, oh, well, okay, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to get into radio. Well, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to get into podcasting. So that's what got you here. But what keeps you on that side of the mic and keeps you interested in looking at starting other shows and keeps your interest in the podcast world?
I think you're referring to the fact that everybody wanted a radio, and now with podcasting, you can have your own radio. And again, it goes to the community, but also the freedom that podcast brings. Because yes, it can bring a whole bunch of misinformation when you're looking at specific podcasters, the size of them and that. But also it can bring a lot of education. It can bring a lot of escapism, and it can bring a lot of joy to people, right? There's so many different styles of podcasts out there. Like they say there's 4 million podcasts. It's probably closer to 5 million by this time, but there's only active probably about 400,000, 500,000 podcasts. But all of them have something, right? They have something that can help someone, because everybody has a story or everybody has an idea that can help someone become hang on, if you will, till the next day, or at least get you to laugh after a bad day. There are a lot of podcasts that I subscribe to. I may not listen to them anymore, but I was subscribed to them because they got me through some hard times.
For sure.
And there's not a lot of content or things that can do that for you. And that's why I love podcasting so much, because I don't know if my podcast will ever affect someone as some of the stories I've heard on my Invest in Yourself podcast. like their stories affect they're creating a business
Mhm.
that ended up affecting someone that helped them get through a pain point or a block. Um, and I don't know if, and I've talked in the podcast series, I heard some of that as well, that the podcast help people get through things. And it's just like, I just want to be a part of a community that can do that. Cause yeah, Instagram, you can do that, but Instagram is so tough.
Yeah,
Podcasting is kind of like the content is really simple. It's very a basic thing to do. Growing it, yeah, that's where the difficulties is, but it's still simple. It's just a lot of work. And I think,
sure.
you know what, for something that's so simple to do, growing it should be harder, but it's still simple and you have to put in that work to get the value. And this is something you can see the value. Like once you're done, you produce it, you can get those comments or you can see how it affects someone.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think for me, that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed about podcasting is that um, it's not just the conversations that we're having in the moment, but it's the reflecting on those conversations after I get done talking to somebody.
Y-
And kind of playing it back in your head as you're sitting there and you're thinking about, what this person said and why they do what they do. And that's always very big for me. And as I mentioned in the beginning. And so for me, it's kind of like, like Shrek, peeling back the onions
Yeah.
layers and seeing what's going on underneath, because it helps me appreciate that person and their level of creativity and why they do what they do. And it's, as I like to point out in my episodes, is that people are often more than just one thing. And so being able to see what they are and who they are helps us to understand the art that they create and the things that they're doing. So, okay,
By the way, I
cool.
want someone to just clip what Tim just said so that we can use that because that is some fucking like Descartes, Socrates level philosophy right now. So please, Clippers, if you're watching this, I think I've said Clippers enough that they should jump on it. But like, yeah, Tim, you should clip that. If the AI is listening, clip that, make it a clip because that is some inspirational shit right there. That's why, again, I do podcasting because you don't know what words will affect someone. Like,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
I want to go back to I was just at a podcasting convention, but the year before, I met someone, an amazing guy named Dave Griffith. He's an amazing individual. I don't want to give away his story, but we were walking to the after, like the here in Quebec, we call them 5 à 7 happy hour, the happy hour
Okay.
after the first day of the podcasting convention, going to have some drinks and mingling, more relaxed state than being at the conference where it's like, okay, we need to be on time and stuff. As we're talking, we're just chatting away. And I say a lot of shit. Tim thinks some of it's inspirational. It's very valuable. I think it's word diarrhea coming out of my mouth. Um, and he was telling me this story about him, right, Dave? And then I just stop and I go, you know what? You're an agent of hope and change, right? Just simply like that. And he stopped me and he's a big man. He's at least like 6'6". Like this is a tall man.
Okay.
He's big. He's a
Robust.
large man. And I'm 5'8". So like everyone's bigger than me in essence. So I'm always looking up, but he like puts his hand on me and he's like, Phil, that that hit me. And I have to wait till my friend Danny comes over, but that is huge. And his friend Danny comes over a bit later, and he comes over and Dave's like, tell him about it. Tell him about it. And he points to his wrist, and he has this bracelet that says there is hope, and hope is H period O period P period E for you at holdonpainends.net. Right now, I know I'm giving him free promo, but because I said hope, because it can, and that's their story. Like they're like, hold on, your pain will end, right?
Love it.
And so telling him that he was an agent of hope and change, right, really affected him and it reinvigorated him to go on. And he's gone on to do incredible things with his business and what he's doing in life. And I reconnected with him again this year, and he gave me the biggest hug,
Love
right?
it.
And he was like, thank you so much. You don't know how important that is because you became an agent of change and hope as well for us. And speaking with both him and Danny, and it was just like, this is community. This is like what podcasts can do, right? We just talk, right? I get
Yeah.
pretty much paid to talk into a microphone, if you think about it, and people listen to me. I don't know why people listen to me, but it just, that's again why I do it, why I fall in love with this podcast, in this space, podcasting. So you know what? No, my number one fandom is podcast. Podcasting is my number one fandom, followed by Star Wars, followed by Star Trek, Kevin Smith, and then everything else after it. That's what I'm doing. I'm restating my fandoms.
That's all right. We're allowed. All right. And for our real quick for my listeners, if you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to click that like and follow button. All right. So, Phil, I've known you for what, about 5 or 6 years now?
At least 20
at
since
least,
2020.
At least since 2020. Yeah, because that's when I started podcasting. Now, you've been an amazing resource for me and this show, and actually all the shows that I've done up to this point. I call you my mogul. I tell people you're my podcast expert. I tell people that you are my podcast Sherpa. You learn me. You learn me the ways of the Force. You are the Jedi Master, and I am extremely, eternally grateful for all of your help. But I know that this isn't like the only thing that you've got going on in your life. So, but what makes you want to help other podcasters live out their dreams? Because you're doing podcasting on your own, but you spend a lot of time helping chuckleheads like me try and figure out what they're doing. So what makes you want to do that?
I wanted someone to help me.
Okay.
And I didn't have someone. And someone like me being like this weird frigging bizarro who loves talking, loves like movies, loves just using their voice. And I didn't have that. And again, I'm going to do a callback to the conference because it did reinvigorate me. I was in a low point, went to the conference, and now I'm like over the moon. Like if you had this interview last week, I probably wouldn't be in the same like energetic way I am because it just reinvigorates you. But the key the opening thing was done by the creator Mark Ronick, and he was like, I didn't feel that I had a community at the bigger conventions, so I had to build a place for my community to come together.
I love
and
that.
Because I never had anybody for myself to look up to and trust, if someone comes to me and asks for help, I have to be the person that I wish I had. Because this is going to be very philosophical and very like way out there. We are all the universe experiencing itself for the first time from our own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we are the only one living this life. The idea of multiple realities and multiple dimensions and all that, and timelines, I think is just wrong. I think it's because our perception of reality, there's 8 billion of us. We all have our own perception of reality. So we do have those multidimensionals, and it's just us taking in the way we see the world right now. So like, I want to be that for anybody. Like if anybody asks me for help, like I was at the convention and I helped a lady with her idea, and she's like, oh my God, I want to pay you to be my podcast coach. I'm like, no, you don't have to pay me. I will do this because I love podcasting so much. Like they say, do something for free, do something you love and you'll get paid for it. I love this so much. I'm willing to do it for free because I do it so often for free. I don't care if I make money off this thing. I'm getting to live my life. I'm getting to do the thing that I love, which is help people make their podcast better. I don't care if you have a bigger show than me. I'll fucking celebrate you. Excuse my French. I'll celebrate you because that's what you got. I'm already happy as who I am. I found my core happiness.
I love that.
So why not find someone else's happy? If it is them getting $1 million from their podcast, right on. I'm going to celebrate you. Why would I want to say, oh, that sucks, you suck, this, that? That's hatred. I want love in my life. I lived angry before 2020. Like I could tell you about how I had my burnout before 2020, how I lost a huge relationship, ended a relationship with a woman that I thought I would be with for the rest of my life. Right. But there's no fun in that. I was an angry person then. Now I'm happy because I just I want success for everybody, because already the world is like a dark place. Like, not gonna lie, it's not the funnest place to be right now. Right. I like the 90s.
For
There was
sure.
hope in the 90s.
It's a pretty crappy
But
timeline right now.
right. I like the 90s timeline. Can we go back to that? Have that kind of like
God, yes,
hope
please.
about like a crazy future and not live in this dystopian. But like, I want more hope in the world. And they say, be the person you want to see in the world. So it's like, I want to see more helpful people who have their emotions on their sleeves, and just like unabashful, like show their love for things without the fear of being like cringe. Like, oh, you're cringe. Like, yeah, I'm cringe. And you know what? I'm not for everybody. I know I'm not for everybody. I'm too loud. I'm too in your face. I swear too much, whatever it is. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not a, Babylon 5 fan. Like, I can't be your friend. By the way, Babylon 5, not bad. More of a Battlestar Galactica, the revamp versus the original. But that's besides the point, right? Be like friggin' go on tangents for no friggin' reason, because you have this random thought and the person's talking to you. Like, that's who I am. And I've come to start embracing who I am and starting to rediscover who I am. And I just want more love in the world. And I know podcasting is the way to be. Like, it all comes back to podcasting. Right. It allows you to be creative, allows you to be logical, because it does follow rules. Like, you can see the baseline rules in podcasting. God, people are going to be like, this guy's way into the woo-woosness and he needs to stop.
All right, Phil, that's a good answer. I like that answer. I like that you found discovery of yourself along the way, and you're happy with that. I just think of how much better the world would be if we had people that had found their spot and they were happy with that spot. It's a mind-blowing type of thought.
It took me going to near the darkest parts of my life to get to this point. So I understand you're facing your darkness to get to the other side. Like the Will Smith and everybody's big quote, like the happiness is on the other side of fear. Right. Mm-hmm. And our biggest fear is, like, I can quote I believe it's a Maya Angelou quote, but or a poem, but I'm not sure. Our biggest fear is that not that we are adequate. Our biggest fear is that our light will shine too bright. Mm-hmm. Right. I have nothing to fear. Like, I know I don't want to be at the level of Joe Rogan. That is not my goal. That is a life that will not make me happy. I'll be happy with like 100 people who know me, like, by name, shake my hand and be like, you're a fucking legend, right? I'll be happy with that. 1,000 people I'll be happy with. But the level of Joe Rogan, that's not my happiness, because I've seen
it seems exhausting.
It seems exhausting, but I've seen what it's done to people, right? You see these streamers who end up blowing up and then end up blowing up their lives, right? Mm-hmm. Because they get too famous too fast. You hear those sob stories about the celebrities, child celebrities, and the celebrities who, like the Robert Downey Jr. type things, right? The fame got to them. And it's like, that's something I never want to have in my life. Like, that's a lot of responsibility. And it's like, whoo, I'm not someone who should have that level of responsibility. So, but if that's something you want, go for it. You're probably a better person for it. I'm happy being the podcast mogul, some numbskull on the net, like you said, just telling people about podcasting.
All right.
And my love of film and movies and food.
Food. Okay. All right, Phil, let's imagine that we're talking on a Monday. Let's imagine it's Friday. It's been a long week, a week full of Mondays. You've worked on your own projects. You've helped other podcasters on their projects. You're exhausted. You need a break. How does Phil Better let his hair down and recharge those wonderful, beautiful, creative batteries?
Disassociate. It could be playing a video, just turning everything off and playing video games. Like right now I'm on a Red Dead Redemption 2 kick. Just replaying that. Yeah. Loving that. Just
love that game.
being like, I'm gonna try and complete all the challenges and do all the weird things and not just the regular gameplay. Because sometimes I have a problem being like a completionist. Like I need to finish the story.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to finish the story. I don't care about all the little side questy things, the getting the little achievements. Screw that. I need to finish the story. So like it's done. But this time I'm just having fun with it. I learned that from Skyrim. I was on a Skyrim kick, like pretty much the earlier part of this year. And just like, cause it's so random, there's no like direct story. Cause you have like 2 stories, 3 stories going at the same time, storylines going at the same time that you can do. So it's like, oh shit. Okay. I can just randomly do shit. Things will happen.
Right.
Cool. So that's what I'm kind of like doing on, like, I like those open world. I may decide to go see a movie or watch movies at the house. My nephew is probably one of the biggest sources of my recharge battery. Through therapy, we discovered he pretty much got me through my burnout. Just getting pictures of him or just chilling with him was enough to like help me through, give me that
Love it.
reason to live. So like I get to chill with my nephew. We play Rocket League. Amazing. I go see his soccer games. He like it is some of the healing things with it.
Okay.
Maybe listen to a podcast or two. If I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's shameful, but it's when you work in the industry, it's really hard to listen to podcasts.
No, I get it.
Because you're like, you're in it
and
you're like, this is more work. Because when I listen, I'm analyzing, and so it's like
I do the same thing. Oh, I don't. What are they doing that I would want to do on my show? And then I'm not listening to enjoy the content. I'm listening to pick up clues and things that I might want to repurpose later.
There you go. So yeah, that's it. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and then I do have my select like three podcasts that I nearly always listen to. Will never not listen to it because it's like a news podcast. It's a 2 news podcasters or content creators coming together to crash out about stuff. And then there's another one where it's the other the one of the news content creators, him and his wife on talking about stuff, about certain subjects, if you will, or certain individuals, going into a deep dive, pretty much like it's called Too Many Tabs, right? Like you open it, you go into your rabbit hole.
I've heard of that one. Yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I have to highly suggest it. I follow Alex Perlman on social media, and so the other one is Crashing Out with him and Phil DeFranco, because Phil DeFranco is my news source, because I like that he's biased, like, but he opens his biases, right? He's like, here are the facts without being biased. He's like, if it's a Republican or if it's right, if it's left, he'll call them out, and then he gives his opinion, so you know where he stands on it. He will clearly say, this is my opinion, but here are the facts, like, and so for me it's like, okay, because he has people researching the new stuff, and he just presents it, right? He's not a journalist. He just repurposes pretty much the news for you, and it's like great, because it's like he's giving you the top level stuff that maybe if you want to go into, you go into his show notes, you can click on it, you can read more about it, be more informed. Some things I don't want to be more informed about because I just need that top level. Just know, are the nukes flying? No. Cool.
Let's press on to something more entertaining. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Am I dying today? Nope. Okay, nope. Good. We can move on.
Pretty much, yeah, right. The society continues. Good. So like those are like the 3 podcasts like are always on the playlist, right? Then there's The Weekly Planet, which is one of my oldest podcasts. I started listening to like probably 2017. I want to say maybe 2000. Yeah, before 2017. I was listening to it before because it was the inspiration behind the Phil Better Show. So yeah, those are my podcasts that is in rotation.
I dig it. Okay.
And of course, the Pop Culture Addicts is always on there.
But
and I'm subscribed. And I listen to it. When he has amazing guests, I'm still waiting for 2 specific guests to come on.
One day.
They will be on.
Hi, Nathan Fillion. We're talking about you.
Kevin Smith.
And Kevin Smith, yes. Okay. So, Phil, you have answered all of my questions thus far phenomenally. but it's
Oh.
time to ask you the silly question.
Yay.
Okay, so the basis behind this question has to do with my live show co-host, Kathleen. Now, her and her daughter were out and about in town in the city that they live in, and somebody asked her daughter this question, but not her. And as you know, with Kathleen, she was like, "How rude! You should have asked me too." And so our belief is that you should never age out of this question. And that question is, Phil Better, what's your favorite dinosaur?
Ooh. I love a stegosaurus. Like a T-Rex is like, if I want to go like, ooh, typical T-Rex is beautiful, it's cool, it's silly, it's protective, but a stegi. I love a stegi. Just like, because it's kind of lazy, it's got that protection. It's hard to beat because if you try, like a T-Rex can't come down. It's also got that tail that can knock you to next week and into the fudge. But yeah, I love a stegi. Triceratops is cool too, but love them stegis.
All right,
but if
that's a good choice.
Yeah, stegis. Give me a stegosaurus any day of the week.
All right, very cool. Well, Phil, thank you so much for being on Pop Culture Addicts today. Where can my listeners and viewers go to find out more about you, your work, and whatever else you've got coming up, man?
So if you want to, here's a very simple thing. Tim pretty much said my handle at the beginning of the podcast. I refer to myself as the Podcast Mogul. So if you, depending on whatever platform you prefer, is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram, TikTok, Threads? Search the Podcast Mogul. That's you'll find me there, and you can connect with me. I'll be more than happy to answer any pod related questions. But yeah, that's currently where you can find me. My podcasts are all on hiatus right now, given the situation in my personal life that I mentioned earlier that I won't go into. But yeah, for the moment, all those podcasts are on hold, on a hiatus. But connect with me on any social media that you want under the Podcast Mogul.
All right, perfect. I'll make sure to put some links for the social handle down below so people can get a quick, easy.
That's also the website,
jump
by the
over.
Way. Thepodcastmogul.com.
All right, I'll add that as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and or listening today. Be sure to follow Phil Better on all their socials, and please, if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, click that like and follow button. This is gonna be my last bag of the day because we're almost done. I don't have any more time to beg you. But yeah, this is my last bag of the day. And by the way, if you're a podcast, you could be a podcast addict too. But if you're a pop culture addict like myself, please consider leaving me a review on your favorite listening platform, or just, you know what, type a comment here on YouTube, and that helps out tremendously as well. And go follow Phil. He's got cool stuff. But until next time, guys, and on behalf of Phil Better, may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper.
Bye!
Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Pop Culture Addicts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@pcapod.com.